So we're going to do a full spoiler-filled review of The Monkey Treatment, which was released early 80s, either 81 or 83, we're not sure. But I guess we'll start with our lemon cake score.
83, by the way, is what I have for Monkey Treatment.
83, okay. What would you give it out of 5 lemon cakes?
4.75. This was my second reading for both of them, having read them like years ago, and I just thought it was awesome. Like, a lot of humor in it, and it was funny to see him doing the lists of foods and having it really make sense in this setting. And it kind of just, I hate to say that it strikes a chord with me because I'm a woman, but just as a person, always kind of had those thoughts about weight and, what would my life be like if I look like this or look like that. I thought it was a good, he captured the feelings well of like, I want this, but, kind of wanting it all. I really liked it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it quite a bit. It didn't necessarily generate like the raw horror of the pear-shaped man for me, but there was definitely some scary moments. I found myself really liking Kenny as a protagonist, which I think helped a lot in like terms of getting me invested in his plight. So I thought it was generally effective at just toying with fear about parasites and losing control of your body. It reminded me of The Fly, actually, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. But the general plot, I don't know, it felt a little derivative of other scary stories. Like there's a story called The Monkey's Paw, which it reminded me a lot of. And the ending also fell a little flat, but overall I thought the writing was still very good. And as I said, I really like Kenny, so I'll give it 3.75 barbecued ribs.
Yeah, I think it's about a 4 ribs for me. 4 racks of ribs, maybe. It also, as a big fat guy, it kind of resonated with me, like the beginning stuff. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I'll give it 4.25 blueberry pancakes. I would say Sand Kings is my 5 in terms of, horror kind of genre, because there's horror in there. But it's a good work. I really enjoyed it reading the first time years ago and enjoyed the reread now. And then I guess I'll give it kind of a disclaimer. I mean, in all our reviews of Martin's earlier works, we've always been he's kind of something you can't avoid is kind of tying into George's life, and not met with like disrespect, but just like looking at the point. Like he always draws upon his life when he writes his works, and that makes it stronger. And something that he even says in his own journal is he's always had issues with weight throughout his life. Like, he's gone up and down, but he's always like had that feeling, and I feel he's kind of shared that in the story. He's drawn upon those experiences and used it to make a stronger story. So we may talk about that during the story, but it's not meant with disrespect. It's just when you write something, you will draw upon your own experiences, and then that opens it up to discussion later on in review. Mm-hmm. So. And I think, we'll talk about it in more depth, but I think there's an underlying metaphor with the monkey treatment and a monkey on your back kind of thing, and how you view your weight can affect, like how no matter what weight you are, it's how you view it can have a huge effect on how your life goes. That's the meaning I took away from the story. As reading it, but okay. So we're going to assume that everyone who has listening to this has read it. So we're not going to summarize the whole thing, but rather just kind of move through it point by point basis.
Was anyone else mouth-watering as he was describing all the foods in the beginning? The ribs and the apple pie. I was like, oh man, this is delicious. He makes a compelling case for not dieting.
Yeah.
I think I read the first time I read it, I was hungry, but this time I was reading it was I was full, so it didn't have as much as an effect. It's
don't read it on an empty stomach.
He presents all these, just how much this guy loves food, and it doesn't come off as being it's not unkind. It's not like, oh, he's a glutton and he's so just fat and terrible. It's just, all this shit sounds delicious, so of course he loves it. It's just very kind of matter of fact.
I know, he's like the anti-pear-shaped man. He's obese and slovenly, but he's so friendly and outgoing and funny, and he just loves food. He's got this insatiable lust of zest for life. He just loves experiencing life, and food it just gives flavor to life. And I love how he champions multiculturalism because it brings diversity.
Yeah.
And he's He's like rooting for the South Vietnamese to like come and be successful businessmen in America because they can add their palate to the American cuisine. So I just love that zest, and it contrasts nicely with sort of some of the skinny people he talks about. Like he says, there's nothing more depressing than someone or a fat guy eating like cottage cheese, he sees his friend Maloney and he's skinny but he's sort of miserable and downbeaten and he's lost all zest for life. So I
what
thought
does
that
he
was
have against
interesting.
cottage cheese? I like cottage cheese. It tastes good.
That's what I thought too. I'm like, it's delicious.
Yeah, I feel like it was more. I guess maybe it still is. I feel like it was more of like the stereotypical diet food like a decade or two ago. Like it was cottage cheese and grapefruit was like a joke kind of a thing, right?
Yeah. Well, he kind of goes over that. I mean, like views on diets and what's good and bad for you change every year or two, and he kind of goes through all the diets. But there's so much detail that you think George may have tried some of these because at least he did his research of these.
It definitely like the whole. I mean, I think that the whole beginning. I mean, obviously before he gets the monkey or whatever, rings pretty authentic as sort of. I mean, maybe an exaggeration of.
Yeah, because Kenny has always been like overweight his whole life.
Yeah.
George goes up and down, but just like, I mean, even like the blueberries. This is common in his stories. Blueberry pancakes. George likes those, and pizza. He has quite a love for pizza. Kenny does.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess it also brings out the color, like the color of all these foods compared to. I mean, cottage cheese is fine, I'm sure, but just the kind of there's sort of a blandness, just the idea of limiting yourself to a few foods that won't make you fat, even if you don't actually like them, compared to this kind of banquet that he describes every day eating, and the energy that he gets at that. I think he gets at the kind of the tiredness and the boringness of being on a diet.
Yeah, doomed to go through life bereft of both women and crawfish.
Well, I mean, yeah, because he has two loves. He likes food and he likes women, but they're kind of not intersecting well for him.
It's a little odd that he puts them on the level of food.
All right, so let's see here. $15 for all you can eat ribs. That's pretty good. That time was expensive, but
yeah, that was not cheap.
What, like $30 or $35?
Now it would be good. Okay, so basically that's the intro for him, and then he meets Bony Maroney, that was in his fat weight loss group, and but he looks really skinny now. He was a great fat whale of a man. These kind of descriptions George even used in Ice and Fire.
It's all the descriptions of fat people and the descriptions of food are very consistent throughout his work.
So he thinks he should be happy, but there's something wrong with Bony. He's looking weird, and he won't share what kind of diet he's doing, and he's trying to tell him to avoid it, and then he jerks his head around.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking full spoilers here, so we know that the monkey's on.
Yeah.
Why can't he see him? Is there something special about the monkey? Apparently, that only.
Yeah, I guess it's. I suppose it's some sort of. Speculating, obviously, but I feel like it's some sort of mental projection or control kind of a thing because the animals still notice them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're obvious.
The drunk guy said he made.
Yeah, the drunk guy, right? Yeah.
But I think it's also a metaphor. I mean, as we get into later, it's also the monkey on your back is your own doing, kind of only.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's any way he wasn't intending that. Aphorism or whatever to be thought of when he actually put a monkey on someone's back.
Yeah, it's the fact that they can't see him is odd because it's almost like George is blending the metaphor of the story with the actual reality of the story. People can't see the monkey, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense why, but I guess because when he goes back to the store a bit later, that's disappeared as well. So maybe you have to be in a certain state of mind to see the monkey. I don't know.
Oh, so yeah, because later on, we'll see there's no actual store there at all. People just say they go there and they just talk and wave their arms.
I guess obviously you can look at it either way. I sort of assume that it's whatever the monkey creatures are, that they have some sort of ability to project a "don't look at me," field or
Yeah, I kind of took it as straight just magic, just kind of fantasy almost.
Or you get stuff like that. It's there's a spaceship like that in the Hitchhiker's Guide, right? It's the uninteresting. It projects a "don't look at me. This isn't interesting. This isn't important" kind of thing.
This is not even magic. It's psi.
Nothing to see here.
George
it's like
has
psi
in all his stories.
Right.
Even in the next story, there might be psi in my theory. So this could just be a form of psi.
Yeah, I think it's more like psi than straight magic.
Yeah. Which again is almost the same thing. Sometimes it's just like
Sure, I mean,
you view one thing as magic, and then you can have the psi explanation. But let's see. On some planets, it would be called magic, like, and the other ones would be psi.
Yeah, I mean, on ours, it would definitely be magic.
I think it is funny that, I mean, I can understand the appeal. You see someone who's probably lost like 200 pounds or whatever, but it seems a little funny to me that he didn't, in his head, make like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
Well, he does. He said he's overdoing it. He's like, I guess I'll do it, but I want to learn the diet.
But it's just funny that he thinks like, oh, I got this. I don't know. Maybe it's just coming from, this was my second reading and I was kind of starting to remember, oh yeah, that's right. But it was just, I don't know. I was kind of screaming at my Kindle. I was like, no.
Yeah. At first, I thought it might have been like bulimia or something because he's like downing all of these ribs, but he still looks skinny. But he's also like really miserable and he's kind of twitching, which kind of implies some sort of malnourishment.
Yeah, I think that that it sort of highlights Kenny's like underlying. We know that he's dieted in the past, but he definitely tries to present it as a choice on some level, right? Like, I'm choosing food over sex or being skinny or whatever you want to say. But I think that his reaction when he sees Bony is sort of underlines the fact that he's actually desperate to lose weight, right? Like he doesn't want to choose food. It's that's something that he's saying, and that's the way he's rationalizing it or whatever. But that when he sees somebody who was really fat and has gotten skinny, it's like I'm absolutely definitely going to do it. I don't care. Oh, that guy looks a little. I'll do better. Whatever. No big deal.
Well, again, though, it seems to be about image more than actually health, because he seems to be okay in terms of how he deals with life. He gets through the day. He has lots of energy. He goes to work. He has friends. He seems like a very outgoing person. But it's just the image. It's just the image that he covers, right. And it's the image is tied to relationships for him. He can't be with a woman unless he looks as good as he wants to look. So I think it's just this image. So that might also tie in with not being able to see the monkey.
All right. So he managed. Kenny doesn't want to tell him, but he starts to jerk around, and eventually he's like, "Okay, the monkey treatment," and writes something down for him. I
almost wonder, like, is he being? I know he's not
forced.
allowed. Yeah, like he's not allowed to write. Don't do it, or give him a tip off on the napkin. But is he actually being mind controlled at that point to write it down and pass it on?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
He's getting beat into submission.
Yeah. I mean, it's physical coercion. It's not. I don't think he's being mind controlled.
Yeah. I think by the time he starts writing, he's given up.
Yeah, exactly.
He's given into.
I think just generally in life, he's probably pretty close to having given up. And then in that instance, he rebelled a little bit a couple of times, and then was tortured essentially into writing it.
There is definitely some part of Kenny that really enjoys being skinny, even though he is definitely, it's not fun being beaten every time you have a meal, but he does, he gets a lot of great joy out of getting all his clothes hemmed in. So maybe part of it is this desire, is this sort of, you got to keep telling yourself, for Moroni at least, he keeps telling himself, this is a good thing. I'm happy. So maybe that was part of it, as well as maybe being coerced by the monkey. It's hard to tell.
But he doesn't have any enthusiasm in his. I feel like Bony by that point has given up. Like, I don't think he's getting anything out of it. Kenny gets more out of it than Bony. At least
that might just be down to just him starving. Like, he might sort of have a bit of enthusiasm, but he just simply can't muster the strength to project it because he's so weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been that Bony had, some of that enthusiasm earlier, but that he's sort of on the downward end of the slope at this point. So.
Well, and it's kind of interesting, the difference between the two guys, and maybe it's because by the end, Kenny wasn't quite as far, but that he would kind of have the way I see it is kind of like inner strength or fortitude or whatever to actually try and kill himself. Like, it seems like pretty much the most horrible way to live. What happened to Moroni, the fact that he was too far gone to even attempt anything like suicide.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll get into the horror of that a little later. But so Kenny is going to start his diet tomorrow, but he's going to get some of it eating in today before he starts it. And so he goes to it's a very sketchy neighborhood. He has trouble getting a cab there. Goes into the place, and then this guy comes out. Even the first time, we all know that the guy who meets them is actually like a fully developed monkey. whatever. I mean, the hints are there with like the shining white teeth in particular, and the way he talks and stuff. But even the first time I read it, I felt something was up there with him.
Well, and he's so close to escaping, but he just can't overpower the guy. Like, he knows it's a bad idea, and that's when you're just kind of like, no.
Yeah. Well, I termed him a monkey lord. The guy who meets him is a monkey lord. It's like a fully developed.
Spreading his monkeys all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a large-scale invasion's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it also kind of ties in with the next story. It's just like this kind of idea of like parasite development or something.
Yeah, and the body switching, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the parasite becoming the host, I guess, and the person living off the living off the parasite.
It becomes it's really gross. It's awful.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's thinking like this treatment must not work if this guy's super fat, but monkey treatment make you thin, he says.
He's not lying.
Yeah. Takes him into a room, and then he thinks it's a rat, but actually it's a monkey jumps on him. You're gonna get the monkey treatment.
I love the kind of reveal when the guy takes him in and shines the single light bulb on him, and he's like, "Oh, there was a monkey on his back." And it's just, I almost wonder, like, did George just take that idea and make a story around it?
Yeah, I could sort of see that, actually. That he sort of had that one scene or one image in his head and then sort of extrapolated everything else from that.
That's what he did Ice and Fire. Like, he had a vision of, I think...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The first chapter. And I mean, like, Unsound Variation, he just thought, like, chess was the idea, and then he just went with it. So, he has that ability. So there's going to be no charge for the monkey treatment, the man said, grinning with the white teeth. Shining white teeth. And then he tries to get the monkey off him later on, but he can't. The monkey's too agile and starts beating at him.
If there is, like, a psi element that the monkeys are doing to their mounts, I suppose.
Hosts.
Yeah, hosts. Okay. Then I think it's probably there, right? The like sort of like a general feeling that like I can't get this done, because that's like the most unbelievable thing, that is that on the first day, right, the first time it happens, that you wouldn't be like, I'm not doing anything until I get this crazy monkey off my head.
You think,
right? Like,
you think, I mean, who would really get it off if you really like, if you just like smash yourself into a wall or something?
Right, exactly. I mean, but like, I can't imagine, like, within hours of getting a monkey on my neck and head and stuff, that I would be like, fuck it, I'll go have a sandwich.
Well, I mean,
that's insane. Couldn't he go to a doctor or someone, or
they wouldn't be able to see it.
They wouldn't be able to see it. Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
But even if they couldn't see it, surely there's it's still a physical body. Surely they can, I don't know, run a test and see a second skeleton attached to it.
Do an MRI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see it later on when it dies, but I think it's detached at that point.
Sure, yeah. But I mean, that could just be that the psi thing is no longer active, right? So.
Oh, yeah. That's true, because it's dead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good way of viewing
Although, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a good chance that they would be able to...
Because the dogs can see it, because they're different.
Right.
And then the drunk might be able to see it because his mind's been altered, like some of the drugs.
Yeah.
I think with maybe even just physically touching, you might be able to
feel it.
Although I guess suppose nobody ever bumps into him and notices it, but I mean that could just happen.
So he just
People
needs
don't...
to get his doctor high, and then he'll see it.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand like the first day where he's so embarrassed, like when he goes into the cafe or whatever, and he's just like, they're all going to laugh at me, maybe then, but maybe the next day, then you go to the doctor. Like when you're realizing that, okay, this is gonna, it can only get worse.
But they just wouldn't say anything. To me, just say it's crazy.
I mean, I think even that is crazy. Like, I can't imagine going anywhere. I mean, like, not because I'm embarrassed, but because, like, I would be flipping out that I couldn't get this monkey. Right? That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I would be going nuts. It would be like if somebody stabbed me with a knife, right? And I've got a knife in my shoulder, and I'm like, okay, I'll take care of it later. Like, it really seems wedged. It really seems wedged in there. I don't know. I'll just get it tomorrow. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Just forget about it.
Yeah.
There might be some side there. Then yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think the embarrassment thing is like I think that's a big part of it. He just feels like a shame or something. But then also when a couple of days pass and he's actually seeing sort of some positive effects. So I don't know, he's sort of caught between shame and satisfaction that he never considers getting it checked out by a professional.
But going to the double meaning of the story, there's a key line there. He's saying, how difficult can it be to go through life as a fat man, Kenny thought, but how much worse to face the world as a fat man with a monkey on his back. I think that's also going to like the second meaning of a monkey on your back. Type thing.
Yeah.
I think, that's sort of like what I think what the beginning is about too, right? Which is about presenting the image to the world and to yourself that like, oh yeah, I'm a fat guy, but that was my decision to be a fat guy, right? Like I decided on food versus whatever. Whereas it's the same problem that he has with the cottage cheese people, right? Which is that he doesn't want anybody to look at him and see like, oh, there's a fat guy and he's fat because even though he desperately doesn't want to be fat, he's still fat, so he sucks, right? Whereas if you can present it as, oh, I'm fat, but yeah, no big deal. Like I decided to be fat, then, it's not the same kind of thing.
Or people in any situation or condition, if they feel like it's their control, feel better than if they were put in that out of their control.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So let's. He goes in there to get the food, and the monkey eats all the food.
Which I love. It's just such a funny scene. And at this point, when you're thinking little monkey, even though he's creepy looking, it's still kind of cute. It's just kind of funny, like, oh, this guy can't eat because it's monkey.
I'm not sure that I ever thought it was funny.
It's a cute little monkey that's stuck on my back. I can't get rid of it. But,
I think it was a bit later where he goes to like a bar and he starts ordering what are it, screwdrivers or something?
Boilermakers.
What are they called?
Boilermakers.
And the monkey starts like dancing to the jukebox.
I was
sort of like, at that point, I still thought the monkey was cute. It wasn't like a horror story for me at that point. It was still kind of funny, but yeah.
That's so weird. It was like a horror story for me so quickly. Like that's so weird. Like
it's a cute little monkey.
No, it's not. It's attached to you.
He's dancing
can't get it off.
It's like a romantic comedy. He's
just really strong.
Yeah.
Well, initially the monkey is doing its job. I mean, like if it all it did was got him like lose weight and then it left, it'd be one thing. But it's taking over his body.
Then it'd be a miracle pill.
Yeah. Well, there's a price. You can't get a free lunch, right?
Yeah.
The first stab of horror for me was when I think it's after he's lost a bit of weight and he goes to get his shirts hemmed in because he's lost all this weight, and then he walks past like a shop window and he sees this this enormous hairless monkey on his back, and it's just grinning at him, and that was that really sort of took me out of it. Like, whoa, that is really freaky, because it's something that's been going on this whole time, because at times he sort of forgets that he's got a monkey on his back, but then he just sees it, they're grinning at him. It's really, I don't know, that image kind of just kind of burned into me. That was scary.
Yes, but so the monkey's beating on him is like, can't you see the monkey? They're like, yes, of course. Monkey. He tries different things. Like he puts really spices and I guess what's that really hot sauce now? That's what he would have used if he had now.
Oh, sriracha.
Or like ghost pepper sauce or something.
Yeah. No, but right now there's this red hot sauce. What is that? It's in a red bottle.
The sriracha?
Yeah, that's what he would have used if he had it at the time. But the monkey likes it. He likes anchovies too. He tries to gorge it, but it just can't. Oh, did somebody disconnect here? Oh.
Is somebody gone?
Looks like we lost somebody.
Amber maybe.
Amber. Yeah.
She got mad that you didn't hear her say
She was a little choppy actually initially. So maybe
she was a little choppy.
A little choppy, not a little chubby.
Yeah. Yesterday, we were doing a podcast, and I accidentally yanked my Ethernet cord out of the back of my computer, was trying to move my computer around, and I came back 3 minutes later, nobody even noticed I was gone.
Oh.
I've done that, but I've accidentally done that when I was playing an online game before. I accidentally yanked the cord out while I was losing the game.
Accidentally?
Yeah. It always happens. You get frustrated.
Yeah, that's
sorry,
so
guys.
weird.
Your leg hits the cord.
Threw my console out the window by accident.
Well, you're back, Amber. It's good. You were a little choppy earlier. Not
yeah, I got dropped or something. So I don't know what we were talking about, but I was going to say I'm pretty embarrassed that I never thought, he should just go to the doctor. But at this point in the story, I was pretty impressed by the variety of methods he tried to get the monkey off. Although I thought the poison was kind of pushing it because he's making this pudding and the monkey's right there. I don't know if monkeys can read, but yeah, I was like, he definitely made a good go of it.
Oh, yeah,
I probably would have accidentally killed myself the first night, like fucking stabbing the shit out of the thing and like throwing myself on the floor over and over again.
Well,
I mean, like,
doesn't let
I
him
would
sleep on
not.
his back, right? Because he could die.
Yeah.
So if he'd really tried, maybe he would have.
Exactly. Yeah.
just
And I
jump
mean,
on
we
his
know that that's what ultimately killed it. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like when he's like, and maybe it wouldn't be a good idea to poke knives around the back of my head. Maybe it wouldn't be a good idea if you have some sort of psychotic parasite on your head. Like, Jesus Christ. But
he needed to find a food that was like edible for humans but poisonous for monkeys, and just ate that.
like looked up on the internet.
Knocked out of his hand or something, though.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like
It would've been harder.
chocolate kills dogs, so you can just eat chocolate or whatever.
But I mean, I suppose that's a good point. I mean, the monkey wouldn't actually have to eat it, right? It could just grab it and then throw it away.
Well, there's something. The monkey, it just eats an unlimited amount of food. It's not a normal monkey. Like there's something with it.
Well, sure, yeah.
And I also wonder if he had eaten the poison. I mean, if the monkey is growing off of him, is there a way that he could have like made himself sick without quite killing himself and weakened the monkey to pry it off? I don't know.
Yeah, I think potentially, I suppose, or yeah.
I mean, I think
That's actually a good point. If he had had to go to the hospital for anything, there, I guess, some sort of chance. Because they're not going to let you lay on your stomach in the hospital bed, probably. I mean, if you're unconscious or whatever.
Well, he'll just go crazy, and they'll be like, "Oh, he's crazy," and put him in a mental ward like that.
Yeah, sure.
Because he'll be just like jerking around. But
you just be having palpitations, and they just put him under or something.
Yeah.
I think he wasn't seriously going to eat the poison at that point. I feel like if he got to the point that he was going to kill himself, the monkey would intervene.
I think the monkey would have certainly tried to intervene. Yeah.
Would have tried to knock it away. But so then he goes on the scale, but he's the same weight. He's like, "What? I'm losing weight, but I'm the same weight." Because the monkey, it's like me plus the monkey equals 367. That's the formula.
Yeah.
His coworkers either failed to notice the monkey or polite enough to say it. They didn't notice it. That's what happened. They couldn't.
Yeah, so that's, I think, another point in favor of the psi thing, right? Which is that he even conceives of the idea that maybe my coworkers just aren't mentioning it.
Yeah. No.
Right? The idea that he thinks that, it's like, well, probably that wouldn't happen, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's that polite.
But for a real monkey, but for a psychological monkey, they may not comment on it.
Well, right, exactly. That's what,
That's just what, like, the double meaning comes into it. Like, you might notice your worker has a problem, but not say anything. Yeah. But he avoids mirrors. He doesn't want to see it. He avoids seeing his own problem. And he invents the Kellogg maneuvers. He's able to get... like, I mean, I want to talk about, like, science in terms of surviving. Like, I guess the monkey lets him drink water. That's one thing. But at some point, he has to eat something that can provide simple sugars. Mm-hmm. Because he can't just go off fat reserves. Like, eventually your brain needs simple sugars. So, like, if the monkey... I mean, he managed to get it himself, but if he didn't, you think the monkey would let him eat something? Like a minimal
he needs
amount.
to keep him alive long enough and strong long enough to actually work and get money and get more food for like.
Because you need to have simple sugars, or you need to, get proteins that can be converted to sugars. But if you can't just live off fats.
Right.
Like, you will die. Like, your brain will not get the sugar that it needs.
Dropping the knowledge.
But that's why he gets enough Kellogg's to provide that, I guess, or that equivalent.
I can't believe he even attempts that maneuver in public. Like, what did he expect was going to happen?
It's a sign.
Yeah, why didn't he just get takeaway? Like, what?
Yeah.
Why is he doing that in the middle of public? It's weird.
Yeah,
he starts off embarrassed, and then he's like dunking his face into like
just like, fuck
plates
it.
of food. It's weird.
Then he goes to the zoo. He's like, he's going to try to lure the monkey off, and then all the monkeys can see the monkey if they start like yelling at it, and the monkey fights like back at them. So that was interesting.
Yeah, because you kind of start to wonder, like, is he just insane? But then that's and that there really is something.
There's something there, and the other monkeys can detect it. That this is a parasite alien monkey. So.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know whether the other monkeys necessarily recognize it as another monkey or just some sort of animal. Yeah.
Yeah, that also adds to the horror. Just it's not explained at all what it is. Like, is it an alien? Is it an evolved monkey? Some kind of half monkey, half human, creature.
He needs like a direwolf or something to eat the monkey. He needs a
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they can see it. They can just give you like, here.
Yeah, he needs like a pack of trained mongooses or something.
How about just a Hulk? He needs a Hulk.
Yeah. So, I mean, the rest of the description George puts is true. I mean, like, he would feel, like, dizzy and would, like, slowly, like, as long as he had the basic sugars, he could survive, and water. Like, he would just keep slowly, but he would be weak and be dizzy because your body would be just converting fats over. But it wouldn't constantly be hungry. It would come and go. It'd be weird. It'd be like that. So, let's see.
It's kind of amazing that he let it go so long before he tried to go back to the treatment place. Like, you wonder if somewhere, like, obviously he's suffering and he's miserable, but you wonder if somewhere in him he's still kind of maybe reveling a little bit in just
he
being
is.
thinner.
Like, I mean, he says, like, he can start feeling weight going away and people start noticing, and he's like, yeah, the monkey treatment. And so he has, I think it's like, the point where Duncan says, like, when he sees the evil chimpanzee on his back, that's when he's like, oh, something going on here, and he's having backaches. Is that the point where he decides to go? When he's like, where will it end? He says, and the monkey shifted and snickered a vile little snicker. That's when he goes to the storefront, but it's gone. And then he talks to the drunk guy and says, there's been no building here for years. We just see fat guys coming around here and just, like, yelling at the air, playing with some kind of animals.
Was it Woe and Shade?
They don't actually leave, though.
But they're not, and they don't seem evil.
Yeah, I don't think they're particularly evil. I don't think they're malevolent.
This whole operation is run by the monkey lords.
Yeah, exactly.
So is it like a portal to their planet or something?
No, I mean, again, I mean, personally, I still think it's just like a sci thing so that people don't see it. And it is the storefront exists and it's there. And I don't know how the monkey lords, came initially or whatever, but I mean, maybe they've always been here. They could be Earth native, and we just don't know about them because we don't know about them, and that's their life cycle. That's their normal life cycle. I don't know.
Maybe we're just like cattle to them.
Yeah, exactly.
They just like breed us.
That's where the stories of vampires
nutrients.
are from. Yeah.
I think things have become better with them in modern times. There's more people that they can go out and just hide.
Yeah, they must be delighted. Really,
that's what they're doing. They've engineered that.
They're the chief investors in cheese doodles. But the wino can't see the building, which is interesting because we thought maybe they could see it if they were drunk.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that it's sort of like one of those things where like being drunk like may or may not do anything for
it's
it.
Not 100%. Yeah, and that's the term wino. I didn't make that up. That's the
he does
story
together, like, hey, you're one of those fat guys. It's like he may be a wino, but it's happening.
Sorry, that was a little choppy. I didn't
Oh.
hear.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting that can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. That the wino, I mean, regardless of what's actually there and not there, he's like, oh, you're one of those fat guys. Like, there's something happening enough in this location that he's seeing a pattern. I mean, he may not even realize it because he's drunk, but, you wonder how many of them fat guys have been coming in and out of here.
Yeah. But he says, looks like you lost some of that blubber, though. Real good. Thanks for the $1. Just like the terminology that George uses is just, it's over the top when it comes to this kind of, like he uses it nice and far as well. Like, that was just something recurring that he kind of uses this kind of, just, I don't know, it's the same blubber and that kind of stuff. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like sort of like sort of a, being as mean as you can about it yourself so that nobody else can be meaner about it.
And in on-sound variations as well, right? The that it had the same kind of description.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's this consistent theme in his works.
Yeah,
okay,
so that's based on teasing that he received, maybe. I don't know.
Sure, yeah, or the fear of teasing or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I know,
Internalizing it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
He said, when he said he was like overweight when he was a kid, and then he lost some weight again. But like, especially when you're a kid, it can be the worst, right? Because other kids are harsh.
Sure.
Yeah. So he looks at himself. His skin is all looking flaccid and pitiful as a used condom. So there's some classic description there, George.
Know exactly what he's talking about.
The monkey was losing hair, which again starts to match what the monkey lord looks like, because they don't barely have any hair.
Yeah.
As he can't, he has monkey hair all over the apartment. He can't deal with it. Me plus the monkey equals 367 pounds, the formula. And then... then he goes to find Bony. He wants to see what... This actually speeds up at this point. I don't remember it. Like, it really goes quickly at the end of the story. It's just like a page or two. So he goes to see what happened to Bony, and then The newly developed monkey lord is there, the monkey prince, and it's laughing at him, and he's like, where is he? Where is he? And then he's like, he shows him his thing.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to? I suppose we should
read it. Somebody should read that.
Somebody
paragraph.
should read it.
Yeah.
Just for...
Duncan's got the accent for it. So
Accent
you're new
for
here.
what?
So you have new here, so you have to say the hard stuff.
Let me just find it.
Go at the grin did not change.
Okay.
What have you done with poor Bony?
The grin did not change. The thing reached down a meaty hand, fingers as thick as a length of kielbasa, and snagged the waistband of the baggy striped shorts. It pulled them down clumsily, and they settled to the ground like a parachute, bunching around its feet.
Oh no!
Said Kenny Dorchester.
Flawless. The thing had no genitals, hanging down between its legs, almost touching the carpet. Now that it had been freed from the confines of the soiled shorts, was a wrinkled, droopy bag of skin, long and gaunt, growing from the creature's crotch. But as Kenny stared at it in horror, it thrashed feebly and stirred, and the loose folds of flesh separated briefly into tiny arms and legs. Then it opened its eyes.
Who thinks of that?
Charming.
Oh,
Yeah, what mind devised this image?
that is
Maybe
so much
maybe
worse.
that's the image. That's the direwolves in the snow image that he had, and he wrote a story around it.
So between its legs, the thing that had been Bony Maroney raised its pitiful stick-thin arms in supplication. It's trying to, like, move. But it reminds me of Melis the Monstrous, actually. The little head of the twin.
Yeah.
What is it with that? I mean, this story and the other one is always about these creepy guys pulling down their pants. Like, it happens in the same... the next story as
Yeah.
well.
Right. Too.
He's showing him his thing. And then the other story is like, I want to show you the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of similarities between this and the Pear-Shaped Man. It's a good double bill.
So then Kenny's like, oh no, he can't live with this. He's going to, the vast weight of the monkey heavy on his back, he makes a run for the window in the apartment. The monkey tries to beat on him, but he manages to break through and falls down like 8 stories or something like that.
And actually, with the little line on the page, I stopped right there, and I was like, "Yeah!" And I wrote down 4.75 lemon cakes, and then I was like, "Oh, there's more." Which actually, I don't mind a happy ending, but it was just a little. It was, I don't know, if it was better with it or without.
Yeah.
I was
don't know.
expecting something more, like a sting in the tail or something. It just felt a bit, I don't know, conventional maybe. I actually love the reveal. I think the reveal is really scary. But the jumping, the suicide attempt, and then it's all resolved. I don't know. I guess I was expecting like a little, an evil thing at the end. Like, I guess you could interpret it as being slightly negative in the sense that he's going to go back to, stuffing himself with food, and then, is dying of overindulgence any better than dying of malnutrition? But I guess ultimately it's positive because he's kind of reasserting his old personality, and he's regained his hunger for life, and he's gotten rid of the monkey. So even if he becomes fat again, at least he's taken ownership of it, and he's not. The monkey's gone at least, even if he's still fat, which is good. And I like Kenny, so I'm happy.
So he wakes up in the hospital. A chubby young man says, "You're okay. You're lucky. Your friend's dead, though. He was killed in the fall."
It's such a quick paragraph, but there's a little bit where you think maybe he's still in the clutches of the monkey because he can't talk. And you don't, just for those couple seconds, you don't know what happened.
Yeah, like the monkey's merged.
Like, oh no, your fellow broke your fall, your friend, your fat friend.
They weren't very sympathetic about his friend. It's like, oh, lucky you landed on him. It was good.
Yeah, that was pretty weird, I thought.
It's like, what if it was his best friend?
Yeah, but then also, like, what? Like, they seem to have, like, no curiosity whatever about what happened.
Why they fell out of the window?
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, like, if 2 people fell out of a window together, I'm not sure that my gut reaction would be like, oh, I'm sure they were friends. like I would
a crazy
be like,
happenstance.
Yeah, like, I would be like, did somebody...
Police.
Yeah, were they fighting and they both slammed against the window and it broke? Or like, I certainly wouldn't be like, well, I'm sure they were just 2 friends hugging, and then like.
And thank God he was so fat.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole page is all about fat descriptions. They say the fat one, and even the doctor is just a chubby young man. It's like that's the primary description of people that's taking over, is that one element of a person, which is just one
Broke your
characteristic.
fall like a giant pillow, or
World of Ice and Fire.
A giant World of Ice and Fire.
American edition.
Yeah. If you had the World Edition, you'd be dead right now. But it's that's a good review for that book. You can break your fall like a giant pillow, like the World of Ice and Fire.
The Monkey Lords will not defeat the American.
What the hell happens to the monkey? Like, so is he gonna live in that guy's apartment now, or is he gonna leave? Like, can people see him now?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how the Monkey Lords operate. Whether they just sort of completely take over the person's life. Actually, that's a question. I wonder what the Monkey Lords, like the fully developed lords, look like to people. Whether I guess maybe as soon as you start putting pants on over your host, then they don't see the host anymore.
Well, like, is he paying rent for this guy now? Because it seems like he just stays in his apartment the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume. If the guy is, if Bony is no longer operating independently, which obviously he's not, then I suppose that the Monkey Lord is, paying the bills.
Maybe this is an origin story for all the pear-shaped men in the city. They're secretly part of the monkey takeover.
I was thinking they were related, but the descriptions are different enough.
Yeah, I don't think how they would be.
Equally
They
disgusting.
can distort their image. Yeah.
But this world is filled with pear-shaped men and monkey lords. That's what George is showing the light
It's just
on
to see a monkey lord.
9 out of 10 people are either pear-shaped men or monkey.
I like the idea that they've always been around and they're hidden in the shadows and they just kind of subsist off human beings as though they're cattle. But have you guys heard of a story called The Burr Women by Raymond Vanover? It's a short story because I was doing a bit of research and it has a lot of similarities. I think it came out around the same time, but it's also about this monkey creature who latches itself onto people's backs, and it also ends with one of the hosts trying to commit suicide by jumping off a cliff. But in that story, it's much darker because as he's falling off the cliff, the monkey detaches itself, or the Burr Women detaches itself, and the last thing he sees before he dies and hits the ground is the monkey or the creature scuttling back up the cliff to find another host.
See, is it terrible that I think that's a better ending?
Yeah, that's what I
kind of like this ending. He gets asked for pizza at the end.
But it's that sting in the tail.
Pizza, he chants until everybody. This is the perfect ad for pizza.
I know what you mean, Duncan. I certainly, I don't have a problem with this ending or anything, but that would definitely have been an interesting way to go also. Well,
Martin has bitter sweet ending.
Yeah, exactly.
Or bitter salty if it's pizza. So.
I guess a happy ending is almost like a subversion. You don't usually get that at the end of horror stories. It's kind of fun. Oh, he's fine. He's asking for pizza. He gets to have his delicious pizza again. It really emphasizes how delicious a food can be once you've been deprived of it so long. I was tempted to make a pepperoni pizza after reading it.
And it's a good bookend with the whole opening paragraphs of the lists of food. He's kind of come full circle.
Well, he just has some pizza. It doesn't mean he's going to eat as much as he did before. Well, we don't know what's.
He just wanted a bender after this.
He would not be calm until
smashing
ordered one for him.
I missed the page actually. I guess what really when he looks and he sees it's like a gorilla on his back right before he jumps out there, and it looks. It specifically says it looks like the gross proprietor, the monkey lord, there, and then he thinks back to when he saw Kenny and he was just pretending not to notice the monkey on his back. So he's breaking through the sigh there. All right, so that's the page that I missed. Great. Do you have any other final comments on the story?
So in terms of the theme, I guess it's pretty obviously about addiction, or obviously Kenny's addicted to food, but it could also be drug addiction or alcoholism or something. And one thing I thought of was a lot of addicts describe their addiction as though it were this other person, and that's kind of how I thought of it being, in terms of this other person trying to destroy you or tear you down. And it's this kind of, maybe even this kind of alter ego, this Mr. Hyde figure who sort of controls you at various points. So I like the idea of giving personification to your addiction. Or even the idea. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, thinking of it that way actually makes it easier to have sympathy with him, and kind of see him a bit as a victim.
Oh, he's a good. Everyone likes. I think we all liked his character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Disliked him.
Yeah,
for sure.
or even the idea of like a disease that you kind of have to, or tumor even, that you kind of have to, takes over your body and you just have to live with it and coexist with it. You can't really fight it. And it just kind of lives off you and degenerates you and eventually just becomes the center of your existence. A lot of, I guess cancer survivors describe that the cancer just becomes everything and it takes away your identity in a way. So I saw that, just that idea of the tumor growing so big that it overwhelms him.
I did not even think about that. That's an interesting interpretation. I had just been going with the general monkey on your back
yeah
interpretation. But yeah, cancer could also fit
the
situation.
I keep thinking of the fly, the diseased body taking over,
And he had trouble
eventually
publishing
shedding.
the story. Like, he talks about it like he was trying to get it published, and Ellen Datlow was an assistant editor at Omni. Couldn't do it at that time. She later publishes The Pear-Shaped Man when she becomes the head editor there. But he eventually publishes it in a magazine of fantasy and science fiction, and then it is nominated for a Nebula and a Hugo and loses both.
Yeah, I think they described it as being too repulsive to publish, which, I mean, there's definitely the one scene that is repulsive, but overall I didn't think it was any worse than other horror stories. Certainly not as bad as The Pear-Shaped Man.
Yeah, which is funny because that one, he said this one kind of paved the way. And I kind of back, like, this story, I don't know, I much preferred it to The Pear-Shaped Man.